Hey, how are you doing, guys? This is Joseph from Jouleconcepts once more. Good morning. Um, I want to appreciate you guys for your support in the past months and years. So I just really appreciate you guys. I'm happy that I could help you guys. But then let's just quickly get to what I have for today. So I have this Instagram account open. It goes by the name Biseguja. I think he's an Ugandan artist and his works are not really bad, so he's actually good at what he does. So um, I just saw one of his uploads, so I reached out to him if I could do a tutorial about it. So he said yes, no problem. So I'll just quickly play that video so you see what we're going to do. So this is just more like a logo review. So I just want to show you how to come about the 3D logo review. And that's just what this is going to be about, how we can come up in 3D. Then what to do was just ended up After Effects. So, but what we want to do is more of, so I think I'll just close it now. So what it did was just to work with the 3D and go to After Effects and do. That is what I would do. So let me not see what it did actually. So, but what we want to look at is the 3D part of it, how to do that. Then also, if you stick around to the end of the video, I'm going to add a bonus to it and add some touches to it and add further animation to this, more like a secondary animation to this glass reveal and all that. So let's just go to Cinema 4D and start creating this. Okay, so this is what we have. So you can already see we already have this that I've already pre-created. So I don't, so I have the glass and also the inner logo. So that's just what we have there. So let's just quickly set up this. So I'm going to create a camera and go to the coordinates of the camera, zero out the rotation. Just right click on this, zeros out that, then right click on the Y, so it moves up, and also the X. So this is centered. So if I go out of this, you notice what I have. The other thing I'm going to do is I don't want to work with this focal length, so I'll just go to a very telephoto, just choose a telephoto, maybe a narrow lens sort of. So let's try 80. So it's going to be very close to that. So if I select this camera, go to the coordinates and bring this back, I just want to be at a rough position where I want the end of the camera to be. So let's say somewhere here. All right. So once I'm done with that, the next thing is to start creating a controller. So I'm going to hold down, make sure this camera is selected, hold down Control and click to create a null. So what that will do is going to put the null at the same position with the camera. So you see that. Then I'm going to put another null at the center here. So I don't need to hold down Control. So that null is going to be here. So this null, these two nulls are going to be controller for the camera. So this first one is going to be the rotate control. Okay, look at my spelling. And this is going to be the movement control. So we have these two controls. So how we're going to do this is we're going to make the camera a child of the movement control. That's the control that is at the same spot with this camera. Then we make the movement control a child of the rotation control, which is at the center. So that's just pretty much the setup. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I don't want to touch this camera. Maybe I will just touch this when I need additional stuff. So let's look at animating this. So if I hit Ctrl D to go to my project setting, maybe I want to go to 24 frames or 30 frames. So I like working in 30 frames, but if you want to work for maybe a movie, social media stuff, you can just change this to 24 frames and that will be set for you. So you have this. Okay, so we want to have a total number of 3 seconds, so that is what we have here. So maybe we would still up this to, let's say, 4 seconds plus 24 frames. So we have that. So once we are done, the next thing is start animating this. So let's start with the movement. So for the movement, I want at the end of the frame to be at this spot. So I'm going to select this, keyframe the Z position of the movement, and at the front, we'll go to the timeline here. We'll bring that movement here. Let's just say somewhere here, start with, and keyframe the Z position. So if you look at this, this is what we're going to have. All right, so if we go into the camera, this is what we're going to have. Okay, so that is it. But right now, you notice what is happening is just I'm having the default keyframe interpolation, which is easy and easy is out, so stuff like that. So but then I want to change this to my own custom animation, and the kind of animation I'm looking at is I want it to move very fast and slowly go down to rest. So that's what I'm looking for. So what I'll do is select this that I've already added the animation, right click and go to F curve. So you're going to have the default S shape. So we're going to change this by selecting this knob here at this point and drag this down. So maybe I will count here. The reason I'm counting is because of the next one. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this is what we're going to have. So if you look at this now, you notice it moves out very fast and slowly comes to rest. So if I go into the camera, this is what we're going to have. So that is what I'm looking for. So I'm done with the movement. So the next thing is the rotation. So if I go to the end keyframe, this is where I want the end animation to be. So I'll go to this rotation, look for the right rotation that I want. So this is the right rotation, the heading. So I'll go to keyframe that, go to the front and change the heading rotation to 270 thereabout. 270. So 270 and keyframe that. So you need to make sure you check this. You notice now into this. So that means what we're going to do is we're going to go back to this movement and change this movement such that it is just outside the logo, because that's very important. So we do that, and for this rotation we already have that. So if we play this together now, this is what we're going to have. And mind you, because I changed that movement, it will reset this to default. So that means if you select the movement and you right click, go to F curve, you're going to go back to the S curve. So you have to go back and do that again. So we'll do this, bring this one. So let's just try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have to go to the movement, the rotation also, for everything to be sync. See what we're having. The movement is having the animation style, but the rotation is not having it. I want the rotation to also have the same animation style. So what I'll do is select rotation, right click, go to F curve. We'll do the same thing for this. Change it from the S curve to, in this case, we are moving this up. So 1, 2. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Thereabout. Let's say somewhere here. So if you look through now, you see everything is moving fine. So that is what we have here. Okay, so I'm liking this. So that is how I would go about the animation. Like I said, this is how I'll go about the animation. Just starting from there and ending here. Then I can also add a, what is it? I can also, let's just quickly texture this so we will have this. So if I double click here, double click, so I have one for the glass. So just quickly create a glass setup. All right, so we have a glass preset, and also for the transparency, change this custom to glass. Then we have the next one, which is this. So I can just duplicate this, and for this we just get rid of this term. Transparency, then give this a color. So let's say this is the color. So we just come here and then also make this from average to additive, and put this as a chart. Just put this on this and the glass on the logo here. So if you look at this, we have that. Okay, so that is how it did that. So like I said I was going to add a bonus to this, and that bonus is adding a secondary animation, and this is what we're going to do now. So I'll pause this and quickly take a sip of water and then do that. Right, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to go out of this camera and get rid of this texture for a moment. Okay, so I'll come to this glass, just delete this so that we can see this. So I'll work with this one by one. So this one I am going to just rename this glass, and we have the logo. So what I'm going to do now is, like I said, for the secondary animation, I want to create an effect such that as this camera is rotating, I want to have more like the glass to start flying, more like pieces of the glass start flying at this point until it forms this shape. So that is what I'm going to look at for. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my MoGraph, select Voronoi Fracture. So that's what we're going to use to break this apart. So we're just going to name this glass and bring the glass as a child of that. So we're going to have this breaking. So the other thing I'm going to do is going to the fracture. If I go to the source, I'll select the point generation. So let me just bring this up. And I want to change from uniform. I want to change the points amount from uniform distribution to a different type of distribution. So I'll go to distribution type and change from uniform to exponential. So what exponential will do is that it's going to bring up this axis, so I can decide to now set which axis I want at how I want them. So if it's on off, it's going to still be more like the uniform, but we can now start doing this. So what this will do is going to give more precedence over a particular direction along X. So if we come to the point amount and bring this up 250, you notice what is happening. The points are more on this side than here. So we have more of the breaking from here, and as it goes, it becomes larger and larger and so on. So I think this is fine for this. So what I'm going to do is for us to now start doing the animation. So if I just click on this to get rid of the point, so this allows us to hide the point. So how to do the animation now is we make sure you have this Voronoi Fracture selected, go to MoGraph menu, Effector, put in a plane effector. As soon as we do that, it's going to deflect or displace these objects, all of them as a whole. Notice it just moves up, and the movement is as a result of this value in the parameter. So the value we have is 100 centimeter along the y-axis, positive y, that's why it moves up. So if I increase this, notice it still moves up and down. So, but that's not what we want. We want to break these different particles, not the whole object as a whole. So what we're going to use to do that is to go under our falloff. So if we go to the falloff, we change the shape from infinite to linear. It still has effect on all. You can see what we have here. So I need to change because I want this to move along this direction. If I go to my arrow for rotate and I hit shift to rotate this along this around 90 degrees, so we have this effect. So we can start working around it. So what we're going to do is we're going to first off increase the fall off, so it gradually falls off. And the other thing is to go to the parameter of the plane effector.
and start changing the value. So I want this object to move more on this direction. So if we come to X, we can increase this. So you notice as we're increasing this, instead of it moving here, it's moving towards this right hand side. So what we'll do is go back to the fall off, click on invert. It's going to invert that, or I think that's not even what we're going to do. We should just rotate this. Okay, so 180. I don't think rotate is what we're going to do, so let's just undo that. So we will have to come back here and just look at the values and change. Okay, so we have this. Okay, so we have that. So let's see what this will give us. So if we try to look at what could be the possible problem here. Okay, so let's just work with this value. So increase this. We have to go to the positive side. So just bring this and also a little bit up. So that's being said, the other thing we are also going to look at is to change the rotation, because we don't want this rotation to be this. So what we'll do is we come to the rotation, activate that, and just add some random rotation to this. So this is randomly displaced. Then the last thing is to, because I want them to fly in from nothing to this, so we're going to bring up the scale. So we go to the scale and click on uniform scale. We just come here to the value, scale value, just put -1. So what -1 will do is going to say from nothing to that. So if you notice what we have here, because we have -1, so we'll do that. Okay, so that being said, the other thing we'll look at also is the fall off. If you notice, this linear value is kind of too long, so the longer it is, the way it affects this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to squash this down. So as I squash it down, you're going to see this effect. So that is what I am looking at. So just do something like this, and but then I want this animation to come towards the side here, not that. So what we're going to do is I'll just try and see what I have. So if I bring this to -180, okay, so move that 180. So this is fine. So what I need to do now is to go to the X direction and change this. So if I change this to a -X, so it brings it towards direction, and that solves that. So move this up a little bit also. So this is that. This is it. Okay, so we need to now start doing the animation. So at this point, we want this fall off to be, let's just start from here. We don't want everything. So let's say we want to have this chunk starting. So we want to have something to look at. So we keyframe that. So we want to move this along the x-axis rather. So keyframe this and go to the end and bring this up to this place. Keyframe that also. So if we play this through, this is what we're going to have. Right, so that's fine. Okay, so let's go through the camera. All right, so that's not bad. So you can also try and check your animation by right clicking, go to F-curve and try and check your F-curve. So maybe we'll be consistent with our curve, just depending on whatever effect you're looking for. So you see the way that goes. I don't think I like the way it ends. I don't like that. So I don't like this. So maybe I would just right click again, F-curve, and change this. So let's change this a little bit like this, and let's see. So I think I'll just go with this. I'll go with this. All right. So that's pretty much how to do that. Then the next thing I'll do is look at the other object here, which is this supposedly red one here, this logo. So how to animate the logo. So what I'm going to do is still the same process. I'm going to bring in another Voronoi Fracture and have its own plane effector. But in this plane effector, I'm going to have a different effect to that. So I'll just call this glass and just go out of the camera, then hide this because we don't want to work with this anymore. We just want to work with only this. So hide this also. So bring up Corona, as I said Corona, Voronoi Fracture. So we'll call this the logo and put the logo as a child of this. So we also have this. So for this logo, we'll go to the source tab, select the point generation, change this to exponential. We have this effect, increase this value to let's say 500, and I think that is fine for us. Then let's clear the point. So this is fine. So let's look at the kind of animation we want to have for this. We want this to come up to reveal, but we don't want them to move out, just be in place while it reveals. So that's the kind of effect I'm looking at. So what I'm still going to make use of is the plane effector. So I'll have this logo Voronoi Fracture selected, MoGraph effector plane. It deflects this up. So we don't want to move any bits along the position. So I'll go to clear the position. Then the other thing is to rotate. So this is the kind of rotation I'm looking for. This, yeah. So this rotation. So just let's start with 90 degrees. Then we also want to bring up our scale, just -1. So everything will go off. And the reason why everything goes off is because we've not added fall off, so it's affecting everything as a whole. So we'll come to this shape, change this to linear. So we have this, just rotate this. Okay, so just have 90 degrees. And also for the fall off, we want to have 100% fall off and also scale this down. So I'm just reducing this. And the reason is so that I just have a little bit of movement. So if I do this now, I'll move this, see the effect. So this is what I'm trying to look out for. So from here, just start revealing and revealing till I have that. So maybe we would even come to this logo, change this point to 400. So we have more larger chunks. So 300. Okay, so let's see. Or maybe we will just come to this logo and change the transform. So this transform is quite too small there. So what we'll do is come to this transformation and move this along the X value. So we have stuff like this. This is just to control the placement of these bricks. So if we go to this plane effector, we have this effect. Okay, so let's animate this also. So if we come through to this place, so we need to look at the logo at this point, the glass at this point, because that will help us to know when to add that. So if we bring this glass object to this, and we don't see the glass because we have to go to the Voronoi Fracture, go to the object, and uncheck this colorized fragment. So we can now see the glass, see the logo inside the glass. So at this point, this plane, let's just call this logo. We want this to be somewhere here. We don't want it to reveal first. So at this place, we'll keyframe this Z value. Okay, it's X actually. So we'll keyframe that. And as we move to this point, till where we finalize this logo here, we want to move this up and keyframe that. So if we play this through, so we have this logo. So let me just hide this also. see what we have. All right, so what we can do is just go to this logo and also work with this curve. So we have this F curve changing. So let's see what we have. So this is the effect. So this was the bonus I was talking about. But the other thing I also want to mention here is if you try to render this, you're going to have a problem. Yeah, we're going to have a problem because I tried checking YouTube for solution and I noticed that everyone that made use of Voronoi Fracture don't really add glass to a fractured object. And I was thinking why? Because everyone was just having a field object, field color, so you don't really see what is actually happening inside. So if I just quickly create this object, so to say, and render this, you're going to see the effects we're going to have. So let me just quickly create ambient occlusion, global illumination. We just want to work with physical render. Then for the ambient occlusion, evaluate transparency, global illumination, QMC. Okay, for this we will just go to fix and just work with what we have here. So if I render this now, okay, so for this logo we need to also do the same thing here for us to see the red color. So if you render this now, you're going to see the glass. See the fracturing of the glass. And please, if you know a better way, a way to get rid of this this fracturing, please, I would really appreciate if you put that in the description so I can know how to solve mine. But in my case, what I did was to just cheat a little bit. I had to cheat a little bit. So let me just render this out so you can see what it's giving us. Then I'll explain what I did, what I'm going to do. About the cheats is just animate this. I tried animating these points, but I noticed in my render it was clear enough. So let me just bring up this render so you see what I have. Video windows and picture viewer. Okay, so now we have two picture viewers. So one is rendering, so let that render. So let me just show you what I got and the issue I had, then what I eventually went. So I did two renders. So the first one and this open is going to bring up as animation. Okay, so let me just play this through so you see what it's giving me. So I have to do this for a couple of times for this too. So let me just quickly pause and do it. Alright, so you can see, what I have. I just had to stop so I can show you my battery is almost low. Alright, so you see what we have, the fracture. So if you know a way to clear this fracturing, even though you've added Voronoi, please put that in the description. I would really appreciate that. But this had been the issue I was facing. This was the issue I was facing. And I tried looking for ways to solve that. So this is the render I have. So if I play through, just more like the kind of animation we had. But notice what's happening here at this point. So my system is, so let me just scrub through. So as soon as it gets here, you notice at one point it starts becoming black, and this is as a result of what I was saying, trying to animate the point amount. So I tried animating this from 250 to 1, so I just have one big chunk, and that was why I was having this black point. And in the end, notice I have this. That was after we've already done that, and this doesn't really look nice. So I just thought I should show you guys that this issue would always arise, and if you know a solution to that, please put in the description. I would really appreciate it. So as it is here, I'm going to just stop my animation here. Yes, I'm going to stop, or just leave the particles, just leave the particle until it stays there. Then I'll just disable this. I'll just try and disable the Voronoi Fracture and then continue rendering. So once more, this video is not my idea, it's that guy's idea, so I really appreciate him for that, and I just thought of creating similar things and also adding a little bit touch to it. So if you feel this was helpful, do please give me a like and a thumbs up, because it helps me in YouTube algorithm. And if you are new to my channel, please do subscribe, because I do tutorials like this every time. So do have a wonderful day, and God bless you. Bye.